Hey guys, this is Josh from Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we're looking at the Akheilos Shark 500 meters. Let's check it out. Now, reviewing this watch has actually been pretty straightforward for me really. Akheilos are yet another brand based directly in China with those immediate links to all of those Chinese factories making a ton of Submariner style homages. However, they've managed to put in a couple of little interesting, unique twists to what is basically another sub-homage, you know, we can't deny that, to make it stand out from the crowd a little bit. What's good is, first of all, the specs, the price, the little tweaks they've made, but there's also a couple of pretty big boo-boos in my eyes. Not necessarily big, but a couple of things that you definitely should be aware of. So let's, without further ado, let's have a look at it in closer detail. So first of all, the price then. $299 or around £225. Yes, there are cheaper Submariner homages available today, no doubt about it. However, I do feel the overall fit and finish from top to bottom of this watch is a step up from all those other homages you tend to find, you know, around the 50 to 100 quid mark. It is clearly a higher quality timepiece. So therefore, I do think that the price point is still fairly competitive. Key features that really make this stand out is the beautiful 3D ceramic bezel insert. Obviously the 500 meters water resistant is definitely a lot better than the majority of other sub homages out there as well. And then from a visual point of view, it's definitely that lovely gradiented dial. Usually a sub homage is going to be what? Just matte black or maybe even a gloss black. However, this gradient really does make it stand out, I think, visually, and it does look really nice in the metal as well. So when you glance at the specs and the price, there's very little to balk at really. Maybe the only thing people might have an issue with could be the movement. NH35, some people may prefer a higher beat movement, such as one of the Miyota 9000 series, but that will up the price. It's inevitable. You'll never get a Miyota, well, I won't say that, but it's very rare that you get a watch around the 200, 250 quid mark with the high beat Miyota movement in it. So I think, you know, I think it's still pretty reasonable to have the NH35 movement found within. For me, the star of the show though is definitely that ceramic bezel insert. It's impeccably crafted with tall, clean, crisp digits. They're all polished on top, set against a really nice frosted backdrop as well. Really does create a polar opposites in terms of the finishing. They really work well together. And I think it provides a much more sporty and rugged appearance than the usual standard either fully polished ceramic bezel insert or even like an aluminium bezel insert, for instance. Don't know if you can hear that, but the action on it is very good. 120 click. Very nice to use. However, I do notice it's ever so slightly, I mean fractionally out of alignment, but on a watch costing this much, I don't think that's particularly a very big issue. I mean, look at SEIKO. SEIKO are quite well renowned for struggling to get perfect bezel alignment, so I think it's a bit unreasonable to expect perfection at this kind of price point. But it is very good, and it's very tight, very close to being perfect. So Superluminova BGW9 has been used on the dial, so on the hour markers. However, there's a different type of lume used on the hands. The handset has SLC3 lume. Both are equally fairly average, pretty good actually, to be honest. But in the dark, there is that visual difference. You can tell that they're using different looms because they look physically different, which I think is a little bit unusual. Some people might even be put off from it. However, some people might quite like that because from a visual point of view, it's a lot easier to determine what are the hour markers and what are the hands. So there are pluses and minuses to it. But all in all, the strength is fairly good for what you're paying. Now the 42.5mm case certainly wears smaller than that, thanks to the comparatively short lug-to-lug length of 48mm. It also doesn't feel like a watch with over a 14mm height. Yes, it's got the dimensions to look and feel impressive, but when you're actually wearing it, it actually isn't quite as bulky as the dimensions suggest, which is good. It's a nice, easy wear. And I find it particularly comfortable on my approximately 7-inch wrist. There's a cheeky little helium release valve on the polished side of the case at 9. If you flip it over, you then have our screw-in crown with the Akheilos logo, sort of lightly embossed on the end there. That could potentially be a little bit better. However, the crown is pretty easy to use. Obviously, the helium release valve is a cool little feature. It's not completely necessary, but it is a bit of a gimmick, if you're, if I'm being honest. And it's just a cool thing to have, really. It showcases the 500 meters water resistance quite nicely. So just checking out the case back, it's good that they've made an effort with it. Instead of just the standard kind of flat brushed finish that you may see on a lot of Submariner homages, they've gone for polished with a vintage diver's helmet. Lightly laser etched, slightly engraved on it. Obviously, this diving helmet represents the 500 meters water resistance, very impressive rating there. However, the name of the watch being the Shark, I don't know, it seems a bit weird that Shark doesn't appear anywhere on the watch at all, and I think that probably would have been a much more suitable option to engrave in the case back. The bracelet and the clasp is a very impressive piece of engineering. Like I say, much better than the majority of other Submariner homages you'll come across. Cool thing is that it's using screw-in pins, which are very secure, very easy to resize the bracelet was. But also, I don't know, it had like a good quality feel to it as I was using it. Usually, sometimes when you're screwing in a screw-in link, you feel, oh, is it going to cross thread? Is it going to mangle up the screw end of the pin? However, it was really easy to use. Screwed in perfectly fine first time. They've kept nice and tight as well, which is good. So it just goes to show the finishing, the level of the finishing within the links as well as the links themselves. It's very comfortable on, very smooth action as well, very malleable flex to it, which I find always helps with it being comfortable because it molds around the wrist really nicely. The double locking buckle, again, is very easy to use. It has the Akheilos logo lightly laser etched on the top flap. It would have been nicer if that was engraved just to show that slightly higher quality of manufacturing and finishing. However, it feels very sturdy, very reliable on, and again, it's really quick and easy to use. So it is worth noting that on top of the bracelet, it also comes with a spare strap. So actually, this is the box. A little bit Rolexy, actually, got some Rolex vibes. Cool thing is you get two little tools. You get a pin removal tool, so it gives you everything you need to be able to swap your straps and resize your bracelet basically. So a pin removal tool, I have used that and it actually is very, very good. I used it to switch over the straps earlier, and usually on cheaper ones the tips get mangled really quickly, but it's actually held up pretty well. On top of that, you get a little tiny screwdriver as well, with a spinny rotating top as well, and that's obviously to perfectly sized to resize your bracelet links as well. So it's really cool that they've provided you with both of those things. But anyway, onto the strap itself. So the spare strap is a beautifully thick, genuine leather strap with a really nice oil-based top as well. Extremely supple, straight out of the box. And just the thickness of it, I don't know if you can see, but really does signify really good quality as well. When you're wearing it, it is beautiful and smells delicious as well. It smells like a good quality pair of shoes. So very impressive second strap as well. The keepers, nice and thick. But moving on to the buckle, the Akheilos logo is engraved, very lightly engraved on the top buckle. It's on like a bit of a slant, which is a bit weird looking, but never mind. So as mentioned previously, the NH35 movement could possibly be viewed as the weak spot of the movement. It's the only thing really that it's not pushing the boundaries in terms of specifications. However, I do feel that that movement is still a pretty good choice really. It's solid, it's dependable, it's found in probably about 80% of affordable divers, not gonna lie, and there's a reason for it. It's solid and dependable, and it's cheap as well. So I still think that it's a perfectly reasonable movement to be put into the Akheilos Shark 500 meters. I suppose the main thing that people would whinge about is that it's not a glamorous movement. It's just a plain old simple tractor movement, basically, just chugging along. Nothing extravagant about it. So finally, before I wrap this all up, there is one key thing that I'm desperate to get off my chest and to mention to you guys, and that is in my eyes, the travesty of a logo. Now, I have a design background, so I do feel quite enthusiastic about this, Many of you probably won't even care about it. I'm being completely honest here, but it bothered me, so I just wanted to share it with you. So I look at it and I weep a little inside, I'll be honest. First of all, the font. It's a really, really bland font. Secondly, what on earth is going on with the title case as well? So what do we have here? We have a normal sized K, obviously a capital A at the start. We have a normal sized K, and then we have a midget H, a larger E, a midget I, a little L, and then a larger O and an S. It's just all up and down, higgledy-piggledy. And I don't know if it's meant to look good, but to me, it looks really, really bad, if I'm completely honest. I would even go as far as saying it looks a little bit amateurish to me. But like I say, I do feel quite strongly about this, purely because of my design background. For many of you guys, you don't necessarily care about that, and you just want the best specs, best built watch for your money. In which case, great. Not a problem for you. So that's just something that I wanted to raise and for you to keep in mind. If you can live with the logo, then carry on as you were. So what are my final comments then? Well, at $299 or around £225, the Akheilos Shark 500 certainly has a lot going for it. There's no doubt about it. First of all, it has really good build quality, but secondly, I really like the subtle design tweaks that they've utilised to make it stand out from the rest. Two of them being, first of all, the ceramic bezel insert, really, really beautiful feature there. And secondly, the very nice gradient backdrop of the dial. Everything else about the dial is pretty standard Submariner. However, that gradient really does make it stand out, draws the eye to the watch as well. Obviously the logo for me, pretty big turn off in terms of design. However, that's the only thing I can really knock. There's a couple of bits here and there where you'd like to see improved, like engraving things rather than laser etching or lightly engraving. Just little tweaks here and there that will see it improve another level up. However, for the most part, it's really good build quality and it's very difficult to knock it at this kind of price point as well. So, for those who only care about getting great quality, well-spec'd watches for your money, this is a very, very good option for you. Otherwise, just make sure you like the look of the logo. That's the only thing I can say. Just make sure you're happy with how it looks visually. Otherwise, you know, you're in a pretty good position, and if you go for it, you're not going to be disappointed. Like I say, you get an extra strap as well, which is genuinely very beautiful quality. So you are getting a lot of watch for your money. So there we go. This was the Akheilos Shark 500. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, also drop a comment what you think about this watch as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.